Hello everyone. This is just a video on the best way I found so far, and I'm sure it'll change over time, to get rid of these pesky paper orange stickers. Got some scratches on it already, 2000, but these pesky paper stickers. What I use is just lighter fluid, some plastic tweezers I got off of eBay, probably, or Amazon, microfiber towel, and what I do is just, after I try to get off what I can get off with my fingernails, I just soak it. Bad thing is you have to wait. At least that seems to be the best thing, is to just let the lighter fluid soak in, loosen up the glue as best as possible. And then you can start it out with my fingertips, which worked, but wasn't ideal. Use the microfiber towel for things that aren't too bad, and it wipes it off pretty good. You can use it for friction. It doesn't damage. I haven't had anything damage these. Matter of fact, I used exact same process on the high polish chrome, and I figured it would scratch it. And after a while, you're just like, I'm just going to do it. Now, of course, this is still some residual glue on there. Once it dried, it looked good when it was wet, but once it dried, you can still see it. But this had the same thing on the back of it. It was probably the same as this or a little bit worse. And I figured, because I'm sitting there scratching with this and or scraping, and I figured for sure it was going to scratch. But you can see a little bit of residual still in there, but I don't think it's bad. When it looked like this, a little bit worse, I think, to high polish, I don't think it's bad. And so, I mean, it may have scratched a little bit, but I don't think it's bad. It's not the best way, and it's probably not the perfect way, but if you have an easier way or a better way, please leave it in the comments so we can all learn. That's what I'm on here for, is to learn as much as I can, and whatever knowledge that I have, try to impart that. But so, just like I said, you let it soak in, and I need to let it soak in more, but it's doing pretty good. But I think the longer you let it soak, you know, the easier it is. And like I said, if it works decent on the high polished chrome, I haven't tried it on brass yet. Of course, these street lighters, and you know, I think it's going to hide possibly the imperfections better. But I had already cleaned a bunch, and this was kind of what was left over right now. So, and then of course I always, seems like if you leave it wet, and like when you're polishing paint, you know, with water, I think it's kind of the same thing. But on that high polish, I mean, I was in there, I was going like this, because it just would not come off of that high polish. You would think with the imperfections and the divots and, you know, non-smooth surface, that the paper would adhere better because sometimes you really got to get into those grooves and get it out. But that high polished chrome, it was really on there. And I figured, well, the worst thing I could do is scratch the heck out of it, right? Obviously try not to do that. But it comes to a point where you're like, all right, I don't have any options. I'm just going to try it. And the number on the tweezers there, I mean, if you want to go this route, it should help you locate it. I think originally the ad said it was carbon fiber. And it did look carbon fiber, but sometimes, with the pictures, it can be very deceiving. And of course, when I got them, I'm like, that's not carbon fiber. That's not carbon fiber I've ever seen. So, but they were inexpensive. Again, true carbon fiber, it's not going to be inexpensive. So, but I originally got these for cleaning pocket watches and things like that. I mean, I have some finer metal ones, but I just figured, well, just give me a pair of inexpensive ones. That way, if I ruin them, I'm not out. And then, of course, just kind of rub it on there. This one wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. I mean, some of them you get, the one on the other video, when I picked it up, the paper was just laying there. So it was probably in, I'm assuming, conditions that were high humidity, and it just dried out the adhesive, and it just fell off. And this one wasn't that bad. There was like that camel one there that I had showed. I probably worked on that for at least 20 minutes, trying to get it, maybe even half an hour. And, you got this tarnish. I didn't know about the camel, what it was going to do, but I figured, well, Zippo's smart enough. They're not going to put any paint or adhesive or even a 540, because I did the one 540 camel. And the lighter fluid isn't going to hurt it, or you have some very upset people. So I'm using it as a cleaning agent. Now the 540 is kind of a matte, I guess, but it came off. It was tough too, but it didn't take it all completely off. If you look at it in the right light, you can still see some stuff. These are, I didn't know if those were scratches or what it was. Yeah. Didn't do much to that. But again, let's get a conversation going, see what you guys use, what works best for you, what's easier, because there's a lot more knowledgeable people out there than myself. So leave some notes in the comment for everyone. One thing you do have to watch is, some people have I've never gotten it, but getting burns, from overfilling your lighter, I haven't gotten it. I mean, I was doing it without the gloves, and I wasn't getting any burning or any reaction, but it's probably still better. It's a petroleum product, not to continuously get it on your hands. So, but I did one, and with it being slick, and it fell right out of my hands, but fell right actually into the a good location. It didn't drop on my concrete floor, so it can definitely be slick. But I think it turned out pretty good. Like I said, this was one of the easier ones. And of course, Like I said, the imperfections will hide some things, but that actually I think came out very, very good. Can't remember. Yeah, this is the one where the flint was all degraded. All right, but let me know what you think. Thank you. Have a good day.